Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tip Your Caddie. I'm your host, Dougie Buckets, and I'm here with a very, very special guest. You may know him as Matt. You may know him as Tungsten, but he is the brains of the business side of Tip Your Caddie. Matt, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Could not be better. Present company included. The weather's fantastic. We just had an unbelievable day at the Waste Management Open. I'm feeling fantastic. I love where things are with us. I love being part of this project.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, I left like 20 inches of snow out on the East Coast to come to 70-degree weather for a couple days. So like no complaints whatsoever.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, it was funny. We were floating around the idea of having you on the pod, and we were like, "Oh, I should bring the podcast equipment. Let's do one." And you go, "Who would you want to have on?" And I was like, "Matt, you." like everybody sees me on the camera, they think I'm doing everything. No, Matt's the rock that guides Tip Your Caddie through mountains. I'm telling you, when I'm down, Matt picks me up and says, "Hey, just do this one thing and it can get you there." And I'm like, "All right." And that's why we wanted to have you on, man.
I'm glad to be here for that reason. I don't know, it's fun. I like being a behind the scenes guy, only because the spotlight's good for who the spotlight's good for, and you're a rock star, as evidenced by where the brand is going and where Tip Your Caddie's going. But yeah, I think if I remember back when you first mentioned like who's the first guest you want to have on, you said me, and I kind of laughed at you. Mostly because I was like, well, you don't need me talking on camera right now. We need you talking on camera right now. I can pop in later on, and I guess this is the later on. Yeah. No, it's fun. For me, at least, we talk a lot about business and different guys I'm working with and stuff, and I think I always contrast you to some other guys that I work with, and your ability to execute. The time between like your idea and doing it is very short. And
I like that.
If I compare that, against other guys that I work with, other companies that I work on, the longer the delay between idea and action, like the less chance there is of success.
I agree with that. Speed is everything, is what I realized in business. And to be honest, when I'm in it, it does not feel like I'm doing anything fast enough.
Right? It feels like molasses. Things aren't moving nearly fast enough.
But I think that's the key. As long as you're in that zone of not being comfortable and like, oh man, this has got to move faster. We got to do this quick. We got to instead of being in that mode of everything has to be perfect before I pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Like, think about this. This lettering on these hats were supposed to be green.
It's true. They were supposed to be dark green. They might stand out a little bit better, but we moved fast, and it was, it wasn't even anything on our end, actually, and we're not going to throw our suppliers under the bus. We got some great suppliers. The quality of these turned out fantastic.
Oh, they were awesome. We were going to use them regardless of the green, orange, yellow, pink. Yeah. It didn't really matter.
But it worked out really well because when, people saw these, it's kind of a really cool ghosted logo. It's subtle, right?
Yeah.
You don't really see it until it gets in your face.
We'll get into the waste management, but the one question I want to start with is, before we get into anything, is how do you usually explain to people what you do? Because for me, and I'll tell you I'm like, this guy is a wizard. He is my Gandalf. Like, this guy, I'm Frodo. I got no idea what I'm doing. I got no real world business experience. I just got handed a ring, and Gandalf's like, go.
I hadn't thought about the Gandalf analogy before. What is it that I do? So I've been fortunate to have like a really wide range of life experiences, a ton of different careers in a whole bunch of different industries, public, private, international, local, small, big, hard labor, hard brain work. I've done a little bit of everything. And I think if I come back to what it is that I do, if I had a fun answer for it, I might say like, and I've told you this before, give me problems, I'll give you solutions. I kind of like being a fixer.
Fact.
So if I had to describe myself in a way that maybe like made sense in the broader scheme of things, not so much with like the cleaning up crime scene stuff, but if you remember the Wolf from Pulp Fiction, they bring the guy in, the fixer at the end.
Oh yeah,
like,
the small Italian guy.
Here's the problem, and we have no idea what to do. It's no problem, I got this. I feel like that's the path I like to navigate. Like, problems exist. I think we can come up with solutions. I can't do all the solutions, but if I can get them into the hands of somebody that can, it's a good idea. So I think what is it that I do? I don't know, I jump in and get my hands dirty and try and figure out like solutions to problems to get things from 0 to 1.
Yeah, but I've always loved working with you, even back when we first started, just because your brain is so much different than mine. Like, and I'm learning so much from how you kind of taught me everyone has ideas.
Yeah.
It's how you execute that matters. Like, I'd always, like, when I first started talking to you, I was always the ideas guy. Let's do this, let's do that. And then I'd just be like, okay, I have no idea how to get from point A to point B. Like, that's just an idea. But since I've started working with you, it's like, okay, ideas here. How do we get from not idea to finish line, but idea to the first step to get it to the, into the race.
Right. How do you back into it? Like,
You
we
know,
know where we want to land. What are all the different things we need to kind of do to get there, right, from where we are here? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a sales trainer back early in my career that told us this story. It was kind of how do you tackle big, hairy, audacious goals? How do you go after big goals? And he was kind of talking to us, around the realm of we want to really up the level of what the sales team could produce in a year. And he asked us the question. He's like, just think about this, guys. How do you win a Super Bowl? Relevant. Super Bowl's coming up this weekend. And he went around the room and asked everyone different questions. How do you win the Super Bowl? And people gave all kinds of different answers. Outscore the other team, have the coach of the year, have the best quarterback. But the answer actually came down to something pretty simple, which is get first downs, starting way back in training camp.
Like that.
Right? If you want to win the Super Bowl, get more first downs than anybody else gets. You're probably going to win the Super Bowl. And that was pretty transformative for me from a sales perspective because it broke down these big goals that I had into little bite-sized chunks. Let me just get some first downs this week, right?
Yeah.
The results will speak for themselves. And when my career started to evolve from there, I started taking that idea and applying it to how do I get from 0 to 1 on stuff. So I've had, tech startups. I've worked with international tech startups that did really cool big stuff. And it always came down to like, all right, here's the goal. What's the single thing we need to do every single day that if we do it successfully, unsuccessfully, but we do it, it actually gets us closer. And taking a look at the merch that we've put out, you had a goal a year ago, to put a merchandise line out that was going to be something your community of followers that you had been building already was going to resonate with, they were going to want, and it was going to serve the purpose of the broader brand. And I think if we look back over the year, you got a ton of first downs. Yeah. Right? We had fits and starts with art. I can't wait for Doug to share with you guys some of the conceptual art that went into these hats. The stuff we were coming up with ChatGPT, I'd get messages from him at 11:30 at night with a concept, and sometimes they were really cool, and sometimes they poisoned my dreams that night. But the iterative process never stopped. And there were challenges, and there were slow points and fast points, but I think, if I look at the arc, it kept moving.
I think it all started when I just said, fuck it. I don't know how to make a hat. I don't even know how to manufacture it. I don't know anything about embroidery. I don't know anything. But what I can do is I can buy a $2 hat on Amazon and take a Sharpie and write Tip Your Caddie on it.
That's right.
And that was I think that, when it comes to the clothing, was our first down. Like, we got that done. And I was like, I had it in my hand. I was like, damn, I made this. It's shitty. It's $2. It's Sharpie. But I made this. And if I can make this, I can make that. And it gave you that sense of like, we got the first down.
Yep.
All right, now let's put together the plan to get the second first down. And it turned into all this, which has been really cool.
Yeah, just keep making it a little better each time.
That's been the benefit of working with you, is like, when I was younger, I think I met you when I was like 26, 27, always had ideas, always was ambitious, never knew how to get my idea even slightly off the ground. And then now we're here. Now we're actually working on bigger goals for Tip Your Caddie. And there's still that overall goal of what we want to do, but it's sort of less because you're like, okay, I got to tackle what's in front of me, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, the level keeps moving, right? Like, we have a floor that we start with, and at one point the floor was we have no hats. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we had a Sharpie hat. And then we had the first version of the branded hats, then the second, and it'll keep going. And what's neat is, just like a rock climber, kind of when you're scaling up the mountain, you're kind of moving your safety equipment with you as you go. You're resetting the level that you can fall to before you can keep going again. So we know it'll be a couple steps forward, one step back, but we keep moving the floor up with us. The ceiling is way beyond our reach, which gives us our ambition. But I think that's what's neat, is that every time we've leveled up, every time you've leveled up, there's been a new established, like, all right, well, this is the baseline. So when we share some stories from Waste Management, that's going to be the new baseline for how we go out there in the world. But that's been a big part of it, is kind of, making sure that when we take that step forward, the footing's shored up so we can take the next step forward after that.
Definitely. All right, now that people got a kind of idea of what you do, who you are, let's take a walk back in time when we first met, how we met, through an NFT company.
Yeah.
And crypto, which, again, I knew nothing about.
I think a lot of us were new to that space when that whole thing came about. But yeah, if we go back to the inception story of Doug and Tungsten, or Doug and Matt, or whatever we're calling this right here. So back in the winter of 2021, winter 2022, there was this online golf community that formed. And they raised a bunch of money with crypto. It was kind of a hot thing at that time, and it was a pretty eye-watering number, right? It was
yeah.
pretty. It was in the millions and millions of dollars.
Yes.
And the idea was that this community that came together with these shared resources wanted to go buy a golf course. And if you're listening to the podcast, you probably have a good idea of who this group is. And it's cool. They did go and buy a golf course, and I've gone to play it. It's in Scotland. It is a beautiful golf course. But on the other side of things, Doug and I met very early in that project, probably within the first 4 to 5 weeks of launch after the NFTs minted, right?
Yeah, and that was cool because I learned about this through caddying for a guy, and we became friends. His name is Justin Delario. He's a really good buddy of mine to this day. And I was basically telling him about how, I have ambition. I don't want to be a caddy the rest of my life. I love the job, but I have more ambition. He goes, I think you'll shine here. He goes, this is a new wild, wild west. You should get into this community and just see what you can do for them.
Right.
And I was like, okay. I had no idea what a Discord was or what an NFT was. I just knew it was a community of golfers. You can go in and chat with other people and talk about this idea of raising money to buy a golf course for a community. And I was like, okay, I'm going to throw my name in the hat here.
Yeah. Yeah, your personality. I remember early on there were a bunch of people in the Discord that kind of stood out with personalities. They were always on. They were saying funny stuff. They were talking relevant golf topics. And yeah, Dougie Buckets was a very early on big part of the community energy. And I remember what stood out to me was you'd kind of put out this idea, you were a caddy, and we had lots of members all over the country that had joined this community, and a lot of them were members at golf courses.
And really nice private clubs, they played at awesome public tracks, and yeah.
Yeah. And I don't remember exactly when you put the idea out there. I certainly wasn't around for the inception of it, though I was very happy to raise my hand to help. Is you would put out this idea of doing kind of a tour, right? Going to visit a bunch of the golf courses and the members at it and talk to them and play some golf. And kind of very similar to what you're doing now, years and years later.
Yeah.
But this was your earliest version of let's do something.
Exactly. Our first down.
Yeah.
We're back.
So you put that idea out there to the community, and maybe you kind of want to explain to them, because I could tell too, but I think you tell from your perspective, how did that work from proposing the idea of what you wanted to do? Because the community had resources. We weren't just going to buy a golf course. We were going to do community initiatives like get merch and like what Doug had proposed.
After they raised the money, they would always throw out ideas for proposals that the community could vote on. And I came up with a proposal. Matt helped me write the proposal to basically get a van, rent a van, go from Miami all the way up to the coast of Boston, and basically play golf with the members of this NFT project, and then interview them on why they joined it and who they are and what they hope this thing becomes. And yeah, we got it off the ground. It was, again, I feel like everything we do is a mad dash to the finish. That was a scramble and a half. I remember being there were times we were like, it's not going to happen. And then we're like, we're a month out. What do you mean it's not going to happen? We already planned all this. All these people are expecting us. And that was the first, we called it the Members Bounce. That was it. That was a great name.
Yeah. And I think it's funny, that project, the idea happened in February, and it really existed from March all the way through till you finished the tour. And then we had the production of the series that we started releasing. So I think we had the first episode dropped right around the 6-month anniversary of the formation of the community. And then we had pretty much an episode a week, all 8 weeks that summer, where there wasn't a whole lot else going on. It was the bottom of the bear of the NFT market. Things were quiet, but the Members Bounce was out there every single week. And yeah, I had never... So, full disclosure, I had never produced a YouTube series before. I had never produced a single minute of YouTube content.
Me neither.
Before any of that. So a lot of it was kind of, we'll jump out of the plane and we'll assemble the parachute on the way down. And some of those weeks were pretty stressful. We were trying to get the uploads in time to hit the 7 o'clock premiere window.
Yeah, I remember I would have to drive 5 hours up to Pinehurst, play golf, and it sounds like, oh, poor me, but 5 hours in the car, play golf, film it all, drive another 3 hours, get to the hotel, upload everything into Dropbox, basically stay awake to make sure the phone doesn't die so we get it in time so we could put it out early. And we were just flying by the seat of our pants. I remember I got so sick on that trip.
Oh, you did? You picked up a big bug at one point. Ended up laid up in the hospital for a couple days, or in your hotel room for a couple days. Yeah.
That was wild. We go play this course out in Long Island, Colonial Springs, I think it is. And I just remember, I go, oh my God, look at all the fog. And the member, I forget his name, but I'll get his name. I know him. We still talk on Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, look at the fog. He goes, oh, that's not fog, that's pollen. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. And so we just inhaled pollen for a full round, and I just got so sick. I had to miss Bethpage Black. That was a big miss because I was I couldn't move. I was done.
Yeah, you were laid up. We were trying to figure out, like, do we send a replacement? Do we pause the tour?
Yeah.
Does this just become part of the lore that, like, oh my God, like we killed Dougie Buckets on tour? I'm glad we didn't. But yeah, it's funny. We had what was neat working with you for all that, and I think this is one of the reasons I know that we still work well together, and we have, is like we had all kinds of challenges that we worked through, but none of them were fatal. We tried to keep them, you know, in line with where they actually were. Like, okay, we missed a couple days. It's not going to shut everything down. Production slowdown, not going to shut everything down. But I think the resilience that you showed, because you were the man in the arena, right? Like, I was happy to be working and putting the time in and making sure things happened, but there was definitely a face of the operation. And I think seeing you do that and then taking what you learned there, realizing that, like, you like creating content, there is a world for this, and you happen to have an insight into the world of golf that not a lot of people have, which is that the niche of caddying is underserved, deserving of more attention, and you're the right person for it. I think when you came to me about a year ago, we had been talking in between, but you said, hey, Matt, like, I'm putting this out there. I'm going to give it a ride. Like, what do you think? Like, should I empty my account? Should I just go all in? Like, it's a big risk. And I was talking to you. I was like, yeah, like, take the risk. Like, it worked out well before. Right. If it doesn't work out, you can always go back to caddying.
Yeah, exactly. I got no fear anymore. I mean, once you drain a investment account to put it into making, like, hats and T-shirts, you really have no fear. You're just like, whatever.
Put it all on the line,
time
right?
to just rip. I mean, it's all like the best quote I've ever heard is, like, it's all risky. Like, you get out of bed, you get hit by a car and die. Like, I might as well try to go for something I truly believe in, which is that caddies deserve to be treated well, paid well, and the guys that treat them well and pay them well deserve a brand as well.
Yeah, they deserve to be recognized.
Like, hey, thank you for, like, making this caddy's job easier or fun, or, like, taking this guy under your wing, being his mentor. Like, there's so many good stories out there like that. And the best stories are definitely 100%, I can guarantee you, are not on the pro circuit, or maybe they are on the pro circuit, but they're in that caddy shack. They're in that caddy shack.
That's where I've heard. I mean, I would say for me, I've learned more about caddying from you, the profession, the art, the nuance that goes into it, the craziness that, you know, definitely is part of it. I've learned more from you about that than I had really in the previous 20 years I had been playing golf. I was not a golfer that had caddies. I wasn't a country club kid. You know, I enjoyed golf in college, and I enjoyed going to nice tracks, and never had a caddy. It was just, you know, we carry our bags, we use a cart, and I think it's just been really cool to learn from you, because it's not as though you're coming from a place of, like, absolute authority. It's more of absolute experience.
Yeah, and there is a little piece of this brand that's educational. It's like we have this new wave of golfers. We talk about this all the time. New wave of golfers coming in since COVID. You're probably, if you're getting into it, you're probably going to be invited to these really nice clubs, especially for work or business.
Right. Even
if you got a buddy that's a member of the club, you're going to want to know what to pay a caddy, so you don't look sort of foolish, you know, when the time comes to like drop the payment. You know what I mean? Like, you want the caddy to respect you. You want the member that you're with to respect what you paid. And there's a little bit of an education piece that I like about this, that it's like, hey, if you don't know, that's okay. We're here to help.
Yeah, that's, as we've talked through how to kind of put the messaging out there, there's a world where, like, bad tippers deserve to be called out because it's not nice not to tip well, right? Like, you're kind of affecting somebody's income, and if it's spiteful, or if it's like you didn't get your second ketchup fast enough for your fries, like that, don't cut somebody's pay in half. But there's a world where, like, we all had to learn that, right? Like, when we all started going to restaurants, we learned, you know, you tip 10 to 20%, but you realize, like, 10% really is kind of a punishment, not just, like, decent service, and 20 is exceptional. You kind of learn the norms of what that world is like when you get the benefit of having professional service for something. I think this is lost on people sometimes, is that the caddies that are out there, your bartenders, your servers, they're not just invisible labor, right? There's personality, there's care and thought and professionalism and experience that goes into that service. You know what a bad bartender's like. You know what a great bartender's like. The same thing exists in the world of caddies, and that's what I've learned. And I think you nailed it. It's about education. We don't need to shame people who don't know unless they get taught and then they still refuse, right? That it's like, okay, well, like, now you're kind of making a bad name for golfers in general, so don't do that.
And listen, the worst thing I think in this world, I think my dad brought me up this way. I mean, he'd always leave a really nice, you know, tip when we go out to dinner, which was rare, but he would always, like, take care of the guy. Like, we'd always have this one guy come around with a snowplow, and he'd be the only one that would go out during a blizzard with a 30 rack and $50 and say, hey, man, thanks. And guess what? Our driveway was the only one that wasn't snowed in. You know?
There you go, right?
The rest of them, and they're just like, what the fuck?
It goes to show, right? Yeah. That's like, it's like getting the extra heavy pour, right? Or getting the better green read or something like that. Or I'll go find your ball for you.
So let's tie it back to the members bounce. If you're thinking back, it's sort of weird where we're at now to think this. I used to think about it all the time because it was like fresh and like I was like, man, what if? But now we're on this new venture and it's like now I can see a path forward. But like if we had kept doing the members bounce, where do you think we would have been? I mean, 3 years, 4 years later.
Right. So that's 4, 5, 6 seasons.
Yeah.
At that point,
episodes,
right? 8 episodes. There's a world where it's hard to say for sure, right? Because it's like, the butterfly flaps its wings and, oh my God, Tip Your Caddie exists all of a sudden.
Yes, right.
But I think the goal of the members bounce was to showcase the members of this golf community and the places they play golf and kind of reveal the side of golf that you don't necessarily get to see a lot. And the thing that was cool about the project is we had people always raising their hands. Even at the end of the first season, we had 15 or 20 members at other courses on the East Coast and the West Coast that wanted to have you out.
Yeah.
So if I had to give the simple short answer, I think it would still be going, right? There would still be demand for those videos and for that content, and people would want to be following your journey. Not for nothing, you became a much better golfer over the past couple of years, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
So the skill set that's on screen becomes more interesting. You always had, the camera loved you from the start, but you get better at that. So I think where would the members bounce be today? I think humbly, conservatively, I think you'd probably be one of the top 5 golf creator brands out there with the other big names that you hear a lot of, right?
I mean,
Bob Does Sports, the Good Boys.
But
I don't know if it would be the same because those were big crews and you were an individual that carried it. So
I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't have been ours. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a fair point too.
Like, everyone was doing the golf thing. We would just be sort of another creator in the space of the world of golf. And now we have basically paved and are paving our own way to be like a caddy first, podcast and media company where we're, doing a lot of cool stuff. And it's cool. No one's ever done it. We're stepping into a world that hasn't been done before. And that's, I think, more exciting than being just a YouTube golfer. Even though, I watch all them. Well, no, I don't. But I watch Bob Does Sports. I think they're a lot of fun. That would be like an awesome. I feel like those guys would be a great collaboration just because like their dynamics would pair well with caddies. You know, because they're not the best golfers, but maybe we could help them out around the greens. Be like, yo, Bob, maybe don't hit it as hard. You know what I mean? I think they'd benefit from it a lot having a guy on their bag. But it's cool to see. That's where it first all started. That's where it's like the love of creating for me started. I was like, wow, like I'm okay at this. I can make a name for myself on camera and, I can shine light. It doesn't have to always be about me. Like I hope that Tip Your Caddie, I'm just a vessel to tell the stories of these awesome caddies who have even more experience than me, less experience than me. Maybe I can give them some tips. And then, get the guys on that take caddies and tell their stories about why that this is their guy and their origin stories. And it's just a cool spot to be, being that vessel to get those stories out.
It's true. Yeah, I think one of those old business concepts that's been floating around for a long time is go find your blue ocean, right? It's one thing to be like a pretty powerful or fast boat on a lake with everyone else. But there's a world where, like, if you have your blue ocean, you can do anything, right?
Yeah.
And being another golf creator is cool because it's a big lake and there's plenty of room for boats on that one. But the niche of caddying, it feels small until you understand how important caddies are to the game of golf and to the history of the game of golf and to the future of the game. And what's excited me is that when you explored this new blue ocean, this, caddies as a subset of the golf world, but really a very important foundational part of it, there's not a lot of guys out there doing the same thing. It's not that everyone ignores caddies, but you've got an angle and a passion that excites me every day to talk to you about it. It doesn't feel like you're forcing yourself to do anything. And that kind of keeps me going.
Nah, it's really neat. I wake up it's so weird. Even when I have moments of doubt now, I just look at the hat. Everything that I have is around. Just Tip Your Caddie. Like anytime I swear to God, it happens every single time.
They're great hats.
I have a moment of doubt about it. I'm like, man, who am I to be trying to do this thing? And then I just look at the hat. I go, no, that's the reason.
Yeah.
Like, tip our boys, tip our caddies. Like that's, I don't know. It's neat. The confidence is growing every day with it. I get excited to wake up every day and work on it. Whether that's like, even if I double bag and double loop and I'm tired and exhausted, I'll still just like find a way to like get on ChatGPT, think of a new design, or like think of a new plan to go to this course and interview this guy, and the cool thing is people are starting to reach out and support.
Oh, so speaking of the camera, actually, so I had fun with that yesterday. So we're walking around the Open yesterday, and I'm the camera guy, which was fun. You know,
yeah, let's get into that. The
Yeah.
soft launch of Tip Your Caddie, I think, was a massive fucking success.
I think it really was. So, Doug, you were saying something a second ago about people, like when you look at the hat and it reminds you, like, yeah, this is something. So tell everyone what you noticed yesterday as we were walking around, because we were both wearing Tip Your Caddie hats and we had some gear on and stuff. But what was it like to see people look at your hat and like you see them mouth the words and then ask you, what is that?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, we would just walk around, and Matt brought this up. He was the camera guy for the day. He did an awesome job. Every time he would like stop, be like, I got a shot for Tip Your Caddie, like products. I was like, this is sick. But we would be like setting up something, and some guy from the crowd would be like, hey, can we get a hat? And they'd look at it and be like, oh, damn, that's fresh.
Yeah.
Or like we'd be walking in the crowd, and then like someone would walk by and be like, oh, man, that shirt's clean. Like I'd hear them say it. And that was all the validation I needed. That I'm like, damn, we got something with our logo, with our brand. I'm like, people are interested, and we don't have to sell them on it.
It's true.
What I mean?
Yeah. It's funny because you walk around a place like the Waste Management Open, and kudos, hat tip to that crew over there. What a great experience.
Yeah.
All the workers over there, all the guests that were there. We had a great time. You guys put on a fantastic day one. But what was neat is we got into the merch tent early. We want to take a look and see what's out there. And there's some pretty quality stuff. There's some stuff that maybe is not our favorites. But it was neat to walk around and see what everyone was wearing and see what people reacted to. And knowing that we had merch that no one else had, but throughout the course of the day, we were able to give it out. That one girl we ran into in line that needed a hat, had the right answer, got that out there. That was fun.
That was cool. We would go around and ask people what they pay their caddies, and for the most part, believe it or not, we got the right answer. And like, it is a complex answer. That's what I think we realized as we were doing it. They're like, oh, but what about it's funny. Some people knew. They're like, what about if he's 4 caddy? And you're like, oh, well, it's this. You know, it's 4 caddy. It's $100 a guy. If he's carrying, 200 straps pretty standard. And we didn't really get any combative feedback at all. But that lady in line, that girl in line was very cool. People were in line for the merch tent. And I was like, anybody want a chance to win a free hat before they go buy one? And everybody perked up, and it was super cool. And I was like, hey, just quick, what do you tip your caddy? And the girl in the front, everyone was like 50, 100, 75, and the lady in front goes 200 a bag, and we went winner
chicken
and she's
dinner.
Like, this is perfect. I didn't have a hat, like I was baking out here. And she loved it, and that
kicked the day off really nicely. It kind of let us know that like it was going to be a good chance to engage with everybody and kind of talk about what it meant to tip your caddy. And you're right, there wasn't really anybody there that gave and defended the wrong answer. I remember the one story that we were talking to some guys, and they kind of talked themselves into realizing what the tips they suggested were actually a bit low. We're like, what do you tip them? We're just walking with some guys down like the 5th, and they said about 50. We're like, oh, like. And the one guy said, well, I don't know, like you don't blink at throwing a cart girl 20 or 40. So like the guy that's carrying your bag for 18 holes, like actually 50 sounds kind of light. Yeah, we're like, there you go.
It's funny that he got that in his head himself. He was like, damn, I'm paying this cart girl a lot of money, and this guy's lumping my bag for 18 holes as I shoot 95.
Yeah, I realized the discrepancy there a little bit. So
that was neat. We got a lot of positive feedback on that. But the coolest part of the day was that spot we found. I think it was on hole 3.
It was the back of the green of 2 leading into the par 3 on 3. Yep.
Yeah, and we found this spot where the caddies would drop. The ropes were right here, and the caddies would drop the bag right there. And our first caddy that we got a pair of socks was Corey Connor's caddy. He actually walked to hit the portage on. And as he's walking out, he go, hey, can I get you a pair of socks for the back 9? Because, us caddies, we got to change our socks whenever we can, especially after doubles.
That's a welcome gift.
And he was stoked. He grabbed them right away. He said, thanks, man. And then for like an hour, we sat there through groups, and we were like hyping up the caddies and throwing socks to them, and they were grabbing them. And right now, as we speak, the Tip Your Caddie socks are walking around Waste Management Golf Course in Scottsdale on professional caddies.
Just amazing. Yesterday afternoon they were in our bags, and today they're on the feet of the guys that we want to support. Yeah. Just a magical turn, man. It was really good stuff.
Our guy Luke is wearing the blue dunks out there. Let me see who he's caddying for. Let's see. Let me look it up.
I think there was one point
on Davis Chatfield's bag, Luke Leedy, full-time caddy, PGA Tour. He's rocking them right now.
Shout out, Luke.
That one we know for sure, but I'm sure the other guys that have them are rocking them too.
Yeah.
And I'm so pumped about that.
I want to be in the caddy clubhouse when all 100 caddies that are floating around realize only 8 of them got Tip Your Caddie socks yesterday.
Yeah.
And the other 92 want to know where their pair is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to have that. I don't remember whose caddy. Maybe it was Siwoo, but it was a bigger guy. He seemed like the absolute man, just like a beast of a dude. And he's walking up. It was my one miss. I felt horrible about it because he's lunking that heavy bag, and I throw the socks, and it just gust of wind. It hits right in front. He's got to bend down with the bag on. I was like, damn. So if you're out there, brother, I got to get your name, get you on the pod, and we'll get you a couple more pairs of socks.
Thanks for rocking them all the same. But that was a really fun spot, and it was neat to see them, well received by the guys that were supporting. What else did we do that was pretty fun? Well, so we ran into some pretty cool creators and influencers too, actually. Some other golf merchandise creators and stuff. It's nice to see everyone out there kind of, hustling, working hard, trying to get the name out there. It was good to be among our friends.
It was really cool to see the For All girls. Like I've been following them from a long time. I think from when they first started. I think I followed them from when Links first started. And I was just seeing their stuff everywhere. And it's so awesome to see that. And then all of a sudden, like I called it out to Matt. I was like, Matt, that. He's like, what's up with the checkered patterns? Like, oh, that's For All. That's their like sort of brand. And then all of a sudden, walking up, it's the For All girls, both of them right there. And I was like, hey, you're For All. They're like, yeah. And I go, hey, listen, I've been following you a long time. I go, maybe one day we can do a collaboration, Tip Your Caddie, For All. It seems like a really good fit to like potentially get into women's clothing too, because it's not just the guys who take caddies. Women take caddies too. And let me tell you, some of them women, they pay better than the men sometimes. Like they are generous, they are nice, they are fun to caddy for.
Shout out to the good tippers.
Girls in golf, let's go. We love to see it.
No, it was great to meet y'all out there. It was fun. You guys were sweethearts. It was a really interesting day because it wasn't any one thing. It was the fans. It was the guys that had taken caddies. Plenty of people that hadn't. It was the caddies themselves. The folks that are around golfers all the time. All the attendants that were floating around. We had a chance to talk to some real nice folks over there.
Yeah, Waste Management was awesome. I mean, believe it or not, I was pretty nervous to kind of get in there with all that merch and just like you never know who to like hand it out to. But then like. It seemed sort of natural that people picked up on like, whoa, what is that? Like that was cool. Like when people would stop us, be like, what is that? And you're like, it's Tip Your Caddie. It's what we're doing. Like, how you doing?
And it was pretty easy for them to see. We had these bags we were carrying around. And we weren't sure if we were able to bring them in, but everyone was pretty cool about that. Yeah, they got lighter as the day went on too. Wouldn't that be nice if that's how it worked for caddies? Like as players used clubs, you just left them behind.
One thing I thought was cool is we saw those guys in like those outfits. Man, they look like almost tribal. If you're at the Waste Management, you see those guys. If you see these guys in like this like cowboy jewelry, it almost looks like Native American. I don't know if that's politically correct or not, but like you know what I mean, where it's like
it was like a cross between a cardigan and a sports coat, kind of light blue fuzzy. But they had these silver belts with little medallions on them.
Yeah, and they were walking all over, and like
you saw them all over.
I was so curious, like, what is this cult thing? And apparently they're the organizers of the tournament, and they've been doing it since like the 1930s or something like along those lines, or 40s. I forget what he said.
Yeah, it's a really big
tradition.
It was
cool. They kept the tradition of wearing what they wore back then. Now that's
all the way through.
It's like traditional Arizona fit.
Not gonna lie, these things looked pretty warm. Like it didn't look like the kind of thing you wear on a spring day in Arizona.
That's the first thing he said. He goes, "Yeah, it's a little hot."
And if they've been around for 100 years, they're probably not made out of modern moisture-wicking materials. Those things look like they were wool.
Definitely not. They looked heavy.
It was funny though, because out of all the merch we saw there, that was probably, besides ours, back pat to ourselves, that was the most unique thing we saw people wearing there. Were these one-off jackets of the definitely not a cult organizers.
Well, definitely not a cult. Definitely not. We can't confirm that yet, but definitely not. The only other, there was a couple outfits. It was a guy with like the full-on mushroom outfit, which was super sick.
He was fun head to toe.
Yeah, and then there was our boy that we kept seeing. He was like 6'4". He had a legit like bear fur coat on.
Figured he was definitely an East Coaster going hard.
Felt Miami. If I've ever seen a guy from Miami, tattoos, slick back hair, fur coat. If you see fur coat guy, tell him what's up.
Who did I like? There was a guy there that had an unbelievably well embellished Barstool Sports leather jacket. Shout out! I think he got the first hat of the day, just because the hat went so well with his jacket. All the crews that showed up in matching outfits, the hot dog guys, the green checkered.
I mean, cuts out every time we get something going. But we were talking about merch.
So depending on when you're watching this podcast here, I guess we can say comfortably and safely that the first drop of the hats and the super limited edition cash on the top Tip Your Caddie socks will be available for sale, and they're not going to last very long.
That dog is pumped about it.
He's pretty excited. There's less than 150 pieces of everything to go around. You've got thousands of followers, and I'm not saying that to create FOMO, but like y'all, when these things drop, get them.
Yeah, they're gonna. I believe that they will go quick. Mostly because one, they're fucking awesome, and two, they're tied to a dope giveaway. Like that's what I've always wanted. I want to build a community, not just a clothing brand, not just like. I want to go visit people and put the spotlight on them. And I want when you buy something from Tip Your Caddie, you feel like you're in for something too. So we tied this all into a ginormous giveaway. You get 3 custom Tip Your Caddie wedges, your grooves, your bounce, your lofts, your shaft, your grip size.
That's so cool.
And Tip Your Caddie lasered into the back. Now listen, when I call you when you win, don't be saying, hey, you want these like $10,000 Mizuno wedges. We'll just say for disclaimer purposes, we'll go Cleveland, SM10s, Callaway, and Titleist. If you don't play any of those, tough luck. I'm not paying $3,000 a wedge.
That seems like a reasonable disclaimer.
But like it's up there to be like a $700-800. I mean, depending on the customization, $1,000 giveaway, and like you can win that just by rocking our brand.
It's a very cool, very generous offer. And like I said, there'll be hats and socks that drop for sale. I'm pretty excited. We've been kicking around some ideas and designs for some other stuff. You might see Doug wearing maybe one of the forthcoming Pima Cotton Tip Your Caddie t-shirts with cash on there. Probably won't be part of the first drop, but everyone who participates and gets some Tip Your Caddie gear will, I think, always be front of the line for future drops.
I agree. We'll find a way to make that happen. If you're one of the original adopters, you will always have first access to whatever we drop. And Pima Cotton's another one of those small wins that I never would have thought I would know about in my life.
Right.
Like, in the fashion industry, it seems like everybody's going with these heavy cottons, but as golfers, we're not looking to be inside. Like we want to go to a range and have a t-shirt that like is breathable and nice. And I found this Pima cotton material, and I was like, this is, for some reason, when I pull it out of my closet, it is cool to the touch, and it sits on the shoulders well, and it feels cool to the touch now when it's 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, something special about it.
So I really want to put this into practice where we make these awesome, either embroidered or screen printed tees with Pima cotton. So, you can wear them to the range, you can wear them out, you can wear them working out, and like they're just awesome t-shirts, like high quality feel-good t-shirt. I
think I got a hat tip Doug on something here that he doesn't talk enough about, and it's along the lines of what you're mentioning now in terms of quality. So when you want to make products for a community, if you're just trying to get a brand out there and make a couple bucks, maybe you go a little bit lower on the quality and you go a little higher on the price and you grab the middle. But from the start, Doug, you were insistent on premium quality everything. You didn't want stuff that wore out. You didn't want stuff that didn't feel good, even if it meant the margins were not what a Harvard MBA would sign off on for first run. You knew in the long term, giving your customers, giving your fans, your supporters quality was going to be the best bet long term. I love that you made that happen and you stuck to it with what you're having. I think it's a really cool, underappreciated aspect of what you're putting out there.
We throw around the term like luxury a lot, and my version of luxury is having something like practical and like something that lasts. And that's what a caddy is. Having a caddy when you are golfing is a luxury. Having someone carry your golf bag for you while you play golf is a luxury service. Therefore, the brand should sort of represent that.
Absolutely.
And like the people a part of this community should have products in their hands that feel and look awesome, and they're also super luxury, niche, and rare. And that's sort of been the whole idea. I'm like, make sure these things feel good. Make sure these things are awesome in your hands, because that's how you want a round to go. You want to leave that round with the caddy being like, that was awesome.
Yep.
And I want the same feeling when someone gets their order, be like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah. And you're putting the time into it, right? So how many hoodies did we check out yesterday in advance of what will be a later this fall hoodie drop, right? We're planning that now because it's going to take us 5 or 6 months to find the best hoodies to source. But
it's kind of nice.
When they drop, they're going to be your new favorite hoodie.
Yeah. And like it's kind of nice going into stores now not to buy and just looking at what the material that they're made out of and being like, oh, we can do that.
Yeah. Shout out Sunday Red, by the way. Super high quality stuff, guys.
Dude,
Very nice.
Sunday red.
Aspirational.
There's some material that they're using that looks illegal, but it feels so good.
I heard they borrowed some stuff from NASA.
Oh, it looks like it, dude.
Yeah.
It feels like it. Like, you put that thing on, you're in a spaceship. That's what I aspire to be. Like, think about it. Tiger Woods is the GOAT of all GOATs when it comes to golf. You can debate Jack whatever you want. I don't care. Tiger Woods is the GOAT.
That's for a different podcast.
Like, but his greatness is going into his clothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no compromise there.
No.
None.
No, it's either high quality or he's not putting it out there. And that's I respect the shit out of that.
I bought a little red Sunday red ball marker off eBay.
Yeah.
It's absolutely worth the $40 that I spent.
No shit.
Because it says Sunday red on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's probably a $2 ball marker, but it feels a lot heavier because I spent $40 on it.
Yeah, but we got to, that being our baseline of like, man, we want to aspire to be like Sunday red. We don't want to just be a brand that puts, a label on a hat. Or that.
Right.
And listen, everything that we put out, it's as premium as we can make it right now without being perfect. I think that's the way to do it. Like, there's always going to be room for improvements. I don't think my mind will ever stop thinking of how to make something better.
That's what's going to keep Tip Your Caddie exciting for a long time, is that we won't. I don't know that complacency is ever going to be part of the DNA of this company.
No.
Not from what I can tell.
No, until I'm like 50 and all I want to do is golf every day and sell the private equity. No.
But at that point, you'll have the Caddy Ranch down in Texas or in Oklahoma or Montana. We'll be educating the next generation that comes up. The brand's going to be out there. Caddies are going to be well taken care of, right? Like, when it's time for you to hang up the socks, the cleats, the bags, the whatever it is you hang up when you're done caddying, it'll be because mission was accomplished, right?
This is about legacy. I want to leave a legacy behind of being a great tipper. I want to leave a legacy behind of making great products, making people feel good, giving the spotlight to others. This has never been about money for me, which I thought was interesting because I'm in such a money-driven career when it comes to caddying. It's all about cash and getting as many loops. But no, I take pride in doing this and like being the face of caddies and hopefully carrying that torch well.
Yeah.
But that being said, let's jump into big picture. Let me just check to make sure this thing's up. Let's jump into big picture. Let's wrap it up with that and see what we can talk about. All right, Matt, let's talk big picture. Tip Your Caddie. We're in year 1. We've done a lot. I mean,
yeah, you got completely from 0 to 1 in the past year across the board. Podcast, content series, shorts, new platforms, samples, full blown, merch is coming for sale.
Yeah.
Checked almost everything off the box that you had on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like, damn, we hit all these markers. All right, back to.
I'm going to set a marker for us. I'm going to set a goal. It's totally attainable. Here's what it is. You and I, and maybe some more members of the team, are back here in 1 year's time telling stories about the second Waste Management Open that Tip Your Caddie was at. Next year, bigger, more prizes, maybe a booth up on 16. But if I'm setting big picture goals, I'm saying we're back here with more stories to tell.
I think we absolutely try to get a media pass for Waste Management and just have a booth just that caddies can come off the grass and talk about their round. What a spot that would be.
That'd be great.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If there's ever a tournament to do that would be open to doing that, it would be the Waste Management because they're all about fun. We can talk to the caddies. Listen, some of them are going to have some rough days out there. I get that. But, man, I mean, you can talk about the shot on 16, the adrenaline.
Absolutely.
Maybe you clubbed your guy down because you knew he was going to be a little fucking jacked up. But, yeah, I think there's a lot of room for growth. And year 2 is going to be insane. Drop, more merch to come. Different people we're going to try to work with, different artists.
I'm really excited to some of these specialty hats that we're going to be dropping later in the season that are aligned with some pretty big golf stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some designs that we're super excited about. We're obviously going to stick with our main designs of, Tip Your Caddie and Cash, our logo, but there's a lot to come for this brand, and I'm super pumped about it.
Yeah. I think we're going to have fun putting together the welcome packages and getting all that out there. That's going to be an incredible season.
Yeah,
it's going to be like the golf season's just starting. Tip Your Caddie's going live. 2026 is going to be an incredible year for all things golf, caddies, and TYC.
Yes, it is. Well,
it is.
Matt, dude, I got to thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming all the way out here. I mean, you've been my rock throughout this the entire time we've started, from when I was 27 to 31. I mean, especially this past year of just helping me navigate how the business side and, All right, so the camera overheated. If you're still watching, thank you. But this is more of a shout out to my friend, Matthew Feinberg. Tungsten, you are the man. You're the rock behind Tip Your Caddie. I can't thank you enough for coming to the Waste Management, filming all that you did, and just being with me throughout this entire journey. I hope you guys watching love the interview. But Matt, you are the man. You are the rock. You are the wizard behind Tip Your Caddie. And year 1 was fucking awesome. Let's absolutely destroy year 2. Build this thing up and have a lot of fun doing it. Matt, from the bottom of my heart, dude, love you. Thank you. And thank you to those who are watching. Tip Your Caddie.